box?
They gave her a golden box on her wedding day. She thought it was filled with jewelry or treasures. But inside was the seed that turned her into an orphan and tore her family apart. A day that was meant to be the happiest in her life became the beginning of her deepest sorrow. Be careful of the gifts you accept on your wedding day. The Okafor family was known all over Mwaga village for one thing: love. Papa Okafor was a strong man in his late 50s with a deep laugh that could shake a whole room. Mama Okafor was a gentle woman with a voice soft like morning songs from birds. Together, they had raised 4 children: Chidi, Ada, Ifani, and Amara. The family lived in a big house with mango trees around it, and every evening neighbors would hear music, laughter, and smell jollof rice from their compound. It was a house where no one ever felt like a stranger. So, when Amara, the youngest daughter, announced she was getting married, the whole family became excited. It was not just going to be a wedding. It was going to be the wedding of the year. 4 weeks, the house was filled with noise and movement. Aunties came from faraway towns to sew asoebi dresses. Uncles sent money to support the event. The compound became like a marketplace. Amara was 24, dark-skinned, beautiful, with wide eyes that shone with hope. Her husband-to-be, Obinna, was from another respected family. He was tall, smart, and hardworking. Everybody said they were a perfect match. The siblings supported her in different ways. Chidi, the eldest brother, took charge of security and made sure no troublemakers would enter the compound. Ada, the first daughter, arranged the decoration, picking gold and white for the color of the day. Ifani, the playful brother, made jokes every morning to reduce stress, though sometimes he caused more stress. Amara, the bride, tried to stay calm, but her heart was full of both joy and fear. Still, everything looked perfect. The family promised each other, "Nothing will spoil this day." At last, the morning of the wedding came. The sun rose brightly, shining golden light across the compound. Drummers arrived first, beating their talking drums, shouting, "Today is a day of joy." Guests began to arrive in colorful clothes, wrappers with red and yellow flowers, suits shining like glass, head ties that touched the sky. Laughter filled the air. Pots of jollof, fried rice, pepper soup, and grilled fish steamed in the backyard. Children ran around, their white shoes already covered in dust. Amara stepped out in her first dress, a sparkling white lace gown. The whole compound gasped. She looked like a princess. Obinna, in his rich igbata, stood proudly beside her. Cameras clicked. Phones flashed. Songs rose. Everyone said, "This is the happiest wedding we have seen in years." But in the middle of the dancing and shouting, small shadows began to appear. Near the palm trees, 2 aunties whispered. "Did you see how Ada looked at Amara's dress?" one said. "She wanted that style for her own wedding, but Amara copied it," the other replied. At the drink stand, 2 cousins argued about who paid more for the wedding. At the food table, an uncle frowned because his favorite chicken was finished before he got there. The joy was still strong, but little by little, whispers grew like smoke in a room. Amara did not notice. She was too busy dancing with Obinna. But her brothers and sisters noticed, and their smiles began to look heavy. When the bride price was announced in front of everyone, Papa Okafor raised his voice with pride. "Our daughter Amara is a treasure. Obinna's family has paid well, and we accept them as our own." Claps and cheers filled the air. But one uncle muttered, "Treasure, eh? Yet when my daughter married, nobody gave me this kind of respect." Another relative hissed, "They act like they are the only rich family here." And just like that, the seeds of envy started to grow. As the sun went down and the evening breeze blew across the compound, a man no one recognized walked in. He was tall, wearing dark glasses, and carried a wooden box in his hands. People turned to look at him. He walked straight to the bride and groom and said in a calm voice, "This is my gift to the new couple." He placed the box in front of them and left without waiting for thanks. What was inside? Who was the man? Why did he not wait to greet anyone? That night, after the last dance, the family gathered to pray. The wooden box sat quietly in the corner of the sitting room. Everyone could feel its presence like a heavy shadow. Amara whispered to Obinna, "Do you think it is money? Or something dangerous?" Before he could answer, a loud sound came from the box. Something moved inside. The whole family froze. The happiness of the day suddenly felt fragile, like a glass about to break. Papa Okafor stood up slowly. "We will not open it tonight," he said firmly. "We will wait until tomorrow." But deep inside everyone's heart, a question began to rise. A question that would not let them sleep well that night. Amara tried to sleep beside Obinna, but her eyes stayed open. Every creak of the floor, every sound of the wind against the windows made her jump. She held her husband's hand tightly. "Do you think it's just a gift?" she whispered. "Maybe," Obinna said, but his voice was not steady. In the master bedroom, Papa Okafor also stayed awake. He thought about the strange man who had delivered the box. He remembered the man's sharp eyes behind the dark glasses. Something about that moment didn't feel right. By morning, the family had already divided into two groups. Papa Okafor and Mama Okafor said the box should not be opened yet. Ada and Ifani argued it should be opened quickly before rumors spread. Chitty, the eldest, kept silent. He only said, "Sometimes secrets are better left closed." But secrets never stay closed for long. By the third day, curiosity won. In the middle of the sitting room, with relatives gathered around, Papa Okafor finally opened the wooden box. Inside was not money, not jewelry, not clothes. It was a mirror, but it was not an ordinary mirror. The glass was cracked across the middle, and when you looked inside, your reflection did not smile back. Instead, the faces looked dark, twisted, almost angry. A cold breeze swept through the room, even though the windows were shut. Mama Okafor gasped, "What kind of gift is this?" One uncle muttered, "This is a curse. Somebody wants to destroy this marriage." Fear spread quickly like smoke. After the mirror was removed from the sitting room, quarrels started. Ada accused Amara. "You must know who gave you this. Why would anyone bring such a thing to your wedding?" Amara's voice shook. "I don't know the man. I don't know anything." Chitty raised his hand. "Stop shouting at her. This is not her fault." But Ifani jumped in. "Why are you defending her so quickly? Maybe you know something too." For the first time in years, the Okafor siblings looked at each other not with love, but with suspicion. The strange gift opened old wounds. Uncle Ibuka, who had always smiled at family meetings, suddenly shouted, "This family thinks they are better than everyone else. When my wife was sick, none of you helped me. Yet you expect us to dance at your wedding like nothing happened." Another relative added, "And what about the land Papa Okafor took years ago? He has not returned it till today." The house that once rang with laughter now shook with bitter words. The joy of the wedding was fading like smoke in the wind. Amara and Obinna tried to stay happy, but they were caught in the fire. When they visited Obinna's family house, his mother frowned. "Do you know the kind of people you married into? A family with curses and secrets." Obinna defended Amara. "I love her. She is my wife." But even he could not stop the fear that grew in his heart. Each time he looked at the cracked mirror in his mind, he wondered, was their love already broken? One evening, as rain beat hard against the roof, Ada was overheard whispering to a cousin, "If I were Amara, I wouldn't trust Obinna too much. I heard he once dated another girl in town, and they say he still visits her secretly." The word spread fast, like fire catching dry grass. By the next morning, neighbors were already gossiping. Amara heard it last. She felt her chest tighten. "Obinna, is it true?" she asked in tears. Obinna's face went pale. "It was long ago, before you. I swear it's nothing now." But the seed of mistrust had already entered her heart. Just when things seemed like they could not get worse, tragedy struck. Papa Okafor collapsed one morning in the compound. His heart, heavy from all the shouting and quarrels, could not carry him anymore. The family rushed him to the hospital, but by evening the doctor came out shaking his head. He did not make it. The sound of Mama Okafor's scream filled the hospital corridor. Ada fainted. Ifani punched the wall until his knuckles bled. Amara fell to the floor, weeping into Obinna's chest. The wedding that began with dancing had now turned into mourning. At Papa Okafor's funeral, relatives fought openly. Some blamed Obinna's family. "Since this marriage started, nothing has gone well," one aunt said. Others blamed Amara. "She brought the curse into this house." Even among the siblings, voices rose. Ada shouted at Chitty, You pretend to be wise, but you knew this marriage would bring trouble. Ifani told Amara, "Your happiness has cost us everything." The family that once stood as one was now breaking apart. As night fell after the burial, Amara stood by the window in her room. She whispered to herself, what if the gift was not just a curse? What if it was a warning? Obinna came behind her and held her shoulders. "We will be fine," he said softly, but his eyes also carried fear. Because deep down, they both knew the truth. The wedding that was meant to unite had already split the family in two. And worse things were still coming. The Okafor compound was no longer the same. Once filled with music and laughter, now it was quiet and heavy like a grave. The death of Papa Okafor had left a hole too big to close. Mama Okafor moved around like a shadow of herself, her wrapper tied carelessly, her eyes swollen from endless tears. The siblings rarely ate together anymore. Each kept to their own corner, blaming the others silently. Amara tried to comfort her mother, but each time she entered her room, Mama Okafor turned her face away. "You brought this man into our family," Mama said once in a trembling voice. And since that day, nothing has been the same. Those words cut Amara like a knife. The siblings were no better. Ada avoided Amara completely. Ifani openly shouted at her, "You are cursed. Look at what your wedding has done." Chitty, the eldest, tried to keep peace but was breaking inside. One night he told his wife quietly, "We are no longer a family. We are enemies wearing the same name." The cracks had become wide rivers. One evening, a young cousin sneaked into the locked room where the cracked mirror had been kept. She screamed. The mirror was no longer cracked. It was whole again, but the reflection showed not her face, but the faces of the Okafor family members, all twisted in anger, pointing fingers at each other. The news spread quickly. Fear gripped the house. Many began to say the wedding had truly brought a curse. Amara and Obinna tried to throw the mirror away. They carried it to the edge of the village and left it there. But by morning, it was back in the sitting room. The family stopped speaking to each other after that. Not long after, another wound was opened. Ada revealed to everyone that Obinna had once borrowed money from her secretly before the wedding and had not paid it back. "He used me to shine at the wedding," she said bitterly. "And you, Amara, kept quiet about it. You betrayed us too." The room exploded in shouting. Obinna tried to defend himself, but his words drowned in the storm. Amara stood frozen, watching her family and her husband at war. The people she loved most had become strangers. A month later, Mama Okafor fell sick. She refused food and medicine. Her voice grew weaker each day. One evening, with her children gathered by her bed, she whispered, "Children, love is a house. If you let pride, jealousy, and secrets enter, the walls will fall. Look at us now. We are broken because we forgot love." Tears rolled down her cheeks. With one last breath, she said, "Do not let hate finish what joy began." Then she closed her eyes forever. The compound shook with cries. 2 parents gone, and the family more divided than ever. Amara felt like her heart had been buried with her mother. Her siblings no longer saw her as blood. Her husband's family no longer trusted her. At night, she sat by the window staring at the stars and whispered, "My wedding was supposed to unite us. Instead, it destroyed everything." Obinna tried to hold her, but she pulled away. Love could no longer cover the wounds. The story of the Okafors left the whole village talking. Elders shook their heads and told their children, "Love without truth cannot last. Lies and secrets will always come back to destroy peace. Pride destroys families. When people care more about being right than about forgiveness, unity dies. Envy is poison. If you cannot celebrate another person's joy, you will turn your own life into sorrow. Curses are not always from outside. Sometimes, the true curse is the hate we plant in each other's hearts. What is the use of a wedding if it destroys the home it was meant to build? Why do we let small grudges grow until they bury love? Is family truly family if we cannot stand for each other in times of storm? If you have not subscribed to my channel, you might not hear my voice again, but if you are, then you are growing every day. Check my page for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.